We are recording. Welcome, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I was just saying before we hit the record button how crazy September has been already. We had our month kicked off with some amazing leaders, as you guys know, or you might not know. If you're brand new, we do this call every single Tuesday, same time, same place, same link. And I interview a different 200K in the company. And I think this is today we're hitting I think our 82nd different 200K. And that's exciting, you guys. There's that many 200Ks in the company, plus so many more. Um, and it's crazy that I've been able to get this many awesome people on an interview because a lot of the 200Ks that I interview, just like today's call, aren't even in my upline or downline. And, I always feel so blessed that they say yes because I came from another company where if they weren't making any money off of you, they were not going to help you. So we're just so blessed to be with a company where everybody really wants to see everyone succeed and they take time out of their day to hop on this and spend an hour with us and share their heart and their tips and their setbacks and their triumphs. And I'm so excited because I have Kindra Morse on with me today. And Kendra, you'll have to unmute yourself.
That I am on. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for saying yes. Jamie is like, you got it. And I was like, I thought I had sent you a message like way back, but it goes to people's others folders. So I'm like, I don't know if she's gonna see it or not, but she gave me your number and I'm like, oh good, yay. I can get her on.
Actually, she told me that you had said that, and I looked and looked. And I said, I know how to find my other folders, and I cannot find it. Facebook is a little bit frustrating when you're not friends with somebody. Some of those messages don't end up going through. But
Yeah, they don't. They don't. It sucks. But I got in touch with you and I'm so happy, so excited. And I want to jump right in because this, like, an hour seems like a long time, but it goes so stinking fast. Like every time I'm doing this every week, I'm like, man, I wish we had more time. So I want to jump right in and I want to kind of start like from the beginning. Like, where were you born? How many pounds did you weigh? Just kidding. But what were you doing before network marketing? Like, were you chilling at home? Were you working? And then how did you get into this industry? Like, was Lavelle your first thing? Did you do anything before this? And then how did you find Lavelle? And then we'll kind of go from there.
okay, so I will try to be short and sweet on that, but that's kind of a lot of my story. Um,
Right.
I told Jamie, I'm like, so what do I expect? She said, you're going to have a blast and she's just going to ask you questions. I'm like, okay. Well, I was in real estate for almost 10 years before Lavelle, but I was a real estate agent for 5 years before I was introduced to this industry. So what had happened was I was a real estate agent in 2005, 6, 7, 8. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the real estate market and what happened in 2007, 2008. But things changed drastically in 2008. And my income had dropped by 2/3 basically. And that was the year I had my first son in 2007. So 2008, I'm a mom, I'm home with my baby, and my income literally dropped by 2/3 because the market had changed so much. And that industry is so dependent on what's going on in the economy. And I got invited to a meeting. I went to a meeting, saw the flip chart, and was like, oh my gosh. So two things. It's so right now is such an incredible time. And I have read that 2008 had the industry of network marketing had the biggest influx of leaders, new people that have become network marketing people and leaders because people were open. People were so much more open in 2008 because everything had changed. And that was me. When I read that, I was like, that was me. I was so open because prior to, if I had been introduced or invited to that meeting in 2007, I don't know if I would have been as open and interested. But in 2008, with my income being so much lower and me feeling like I need to figure out a way to be able to provide for my family, I was interested. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, if this guy can do this, I think I can do this too. So I got started. I had some success. I loved it. I had goals. I wanted to, it's really silly. I had silly goals. I shouldn't say silly, But my goals in starting my business at that time were to be able to purchase a barrel horse. I wanted to do barrel racing, and I didn't need to provide, and like I wasn't needing to make so much money to pay our house payment or anything like that. I really just wanted to be able to barrel race. And I built my business. I had some success. I was not top rank in the company by any means, but I had some success, but I did not have a supportive husband. My husband was a jerk face, actually. Hopefully this is, I don't know, maybe it will go on the internet one day, but he just wasn't supportive at all. He made fun of it. He put it down in front of people. He mocked it. Everything under the sun. And I ended up, after about 6 months, I ended up deciding, he had threatened divorce, and I decided, all right, I'm gonna put this on the shelf. I just want a barrel horse. Literally, I just want to be able to barrel race. And he said that time that he was going to help me, so my ex-husband now was part of a very wealthy family, very, very multimillionaire, self-made multimillionaire family, like owned their own King Air airplane and would go out to the airport and get in their own airplane and fly places, like very, very wealthy. And I just wanted to have some of my stuff. Anyways, after about 6 months, so I quit my business, I quit promoting, I quit all that. I was like, I just want to do this horse stuff. Well, fast forward 6 months later, we ended up going through a divorce. Anyways, and because I was sick and tired of being stuck in this box and being, barefoot and pregnant. And so I was just tired of being controlled by these people that were used to controlling everybody around them with money. And anyways, so we got a divorce, and that's when I switched gears. Without going into too many details, he actually had, he had pursued full custody of our son on the basis that I was always working my business and always riding my horse, and had, I'm not joking you, 70 different people in our town write the same thing. I was always working and I was always out riding my horse, which was ridiculous. Anyways, I was terrified. Bottom line, I was terrified that I could potentially lose my son. So when I first separated, I thought, I'm going to go back to building my business. I loved that. That made me happy. I felt like I was making an impact. It was a health and wellness product. I thought I could just go back to that because I really had missed it over the last 6 months before we had separated. And, but then I got served with these papers that said that that's the reason I shouldn't be a full-time mom. And I was scared. And so I didn't do anything with my business. I didn't do anything with my company. I didn't do anything with my horses. Like, I was like, I am not going to do anything that in my mind may in any way, shape, or form jeopardize custody of my son. And so a year passed before we finally had our divorce finalized. I'd switched gears from being a real estate agent. I became a mortgage loan officer, which was a means to an end. It was a way that I could provide for my son as a single mom working 9 to 5, which were hours that worked way better for having a kid in daycare, basically, or having somebody else help. And that whole year, I'm telling you guys, I just was like, I'm so mad that I can't do something I'm really passionate about, I really enjoyed, because of fear. And then when everything was finalized, my team was gone. Like, by then it was gone. And so for the next several years, I was not in network marketing, but it's almost like once you've experienced something like this, to go back, I was the person that went back to the 9 to 5 and was sitting in the bank and hated the fact that I was stuck in this building for these set hours, trading time for dollars, not feeling like I was making an impact, not feeling I was making a difference. I did grow. I was part of a team that did really well. We were doing about $4 million a month in loans. So I was getting out of the hole that I had been in through the divorce and all of that, but I always longed for this. And so when Thrive and Lavelle came around, fast forward in 2014, so this is after 10 years of being in the real estate industry, about 4.5 years after, 3.5 years, I guess, after my divorce was finalized, but 4.5 years of really missing what this industry has to offer. That's when I was introduced to Lavelle, and I didn't have a successful first 6 weeks because I wasn't doing 3-way calls. I don't know if you want to get into all that, but basically this was when it was August of that first year, about 6 weeks into promoting, I realized this is my second chance. This is where I can really run with this and do what I did before, which wasn't even the top rank in the company. It just was, I could provide for my my son and myself on my own, stand on my own 2 feet. I just took off and never stopped. So that's kind of the backstory.
I always like people to hear the backstory for several reasons because I mean, there's so many people on here that they're with a spouse that isn't supportive and they feel like they can't do this. Or I also like them to know what people did in the past because maybe you're missing those kind of people in your life, introducing them to Lavelle because I was kind of like you. I got into network marketing back in 2010 because I was one of those people that lost my house during that whole 2008, 2009, 2010 area. I ended up getting my car repossessed. My house, was foreclosed on. I was back to renting and I was like, what's going on? Like, I'm not making any money. And it was the reason I even looked at this industry. And there's a lot of people right now, it's like resonating with COVID. Like how many people maybe their jobs have been affected. And as soon as COVID hit, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is kind of 2008.
Yeah, it really is. I really believe that over the
Sorry,
next,
my phone rang. I know that a lot of people look at COVID as a horrible thing, and it is, but sometimes out of horrible thing comes something good. And I think it's why we're having the best August that I've ever seen in this industry since I've been doing it, because I think so many people are more open to looking at something like this, because when you're in a crisis, that's when you go step outside your box, right? Because if you have to provide for your family, you're looking for something new. And also, I think real estate agents, they have kind of a market a little bit because people trust you. Like, it's probably why you were kind of doing what you need to do in network marketing to be successful with your first company. You were already building a market. You didn't realize you were doing it, but you were. And a lot of people come into this and they're like, why am I not moving as fast as so and so? Or why am I stuck here? And it's because they just don't have the market yet. Some people come in with the market based off of what they did before, or maybe they come from another network marketing company. I mean, everybody has a different story. So I'm always like, don't compare because you don't know somebody's backstory. But I love people to hear the backstory because it's going to resonate with somebody. I just know it. And trust me, it's like having an unsupportive spouse, I think, is the number one reason why I have people quit. It's like, it's so sad that it's like, you want to tell everybody, if your spouse is unsupportive, you need to get a divorce, right?
yeah. Oh, and
Tell everybody that.
yeah, like there's been a period of my life where I was kind of like, seriously, you just need to get out if they're not supportive. There's another part of me that's like, you don't necessarily have to get out to have success. You don't need them to support you to stand up for yourself and do this. You don't need them to be on your seat, on your side and on your team. You really don't. It's hard. It's very hard. I have been there. Absolutely. I have, like, through the jokes, through everything. And I also had, this is the other side of it. I remember in that other company, I had built to the point where I was making $3,500 a month, which is, great part-time income. And I had my upline. I had kind of briefly shared that things were not good at home, and I was kind of trying to on a little bit of a break in that 6 months before we separated. And I remember the way he treated me, and he made me feel bad for not making this first. And that has always stuck with
Oh,
me
wow.
in this business, that you know what, do not you never know what's really going on, and you never know how what you say may turn. We all have to be super sensitive to what's going on in people's homes, because that should be number one priority. Family should be number one, but at what price, right? At what
Right.
extent are you giving? Like, you've got to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. If stuff hits the fan, what are you going to do? Like, I that first year that I was on my own, I made $13,000 as a single mom for the whole year. Like, 12 months, $13,000. I joked that I couldn't afford to cross the street, and I was so mad through that whole time because I had been making $3,500 a month, and I quit my business for 6 months before things ended. And what if I hadn't? What if I hadn't quit? What if I hadn't stopped? What if I'd stood up for myself? And I used to always say, he won't let me. He won't let me do this. He won't let me. I would tell my friend, oh, he won't let me. He never actually said, you can't do that. He wasn't actually saying you're not allowed to do anything. I just knew he didn't like it. And I succumb to that. And now
You didn't push through the uncomfortable, because here's the thing is, like I always tell people, and I'm sure you've seen this too, Kendra, but I've had people, several people that have had an issue. Their spouse was not supportive. They didn't like that it was taking away from dinner time, or that they had to take a call, or whatever it was. But I've told every single one of those people that have pushed through, as soon as they started making money, isn't it funny how the spouse suddenly is on board? Like,
yeah,
you just have to start making some money and push through that hard part, and suddenly your spouse is your biggest cheerleader. You just have to get to that point if they're like a decent human being. If
yeah.
not, then you need to get a divorce. I'm kidding, but
No, totally. Because there are some situations that absolutely, there's others like, have you not proven it? Like, have you asked them to support you over and over and over and over, but you're not actually like making it happen? Like,
right.
that's a whole other side of it. Like, have you, one of the things that we did, my husband now as a family, when this got started and I really started to, I decided that I was not going to, what had happened was after about 6 weeks of promoting, I realized that I wasn't making it happen in the first 6 weeks with Laval. I wasn't. And I realized if I didn't make stuff happen, I was potentially going to be going back to my bank job that I didn't miss at all in about 6 months. I was on maternity leave with my second son. He was 3 months old when I got introduced to this. I had actually quit my job before my product even came. I had ordered product, not knowing what to expect, but I quit my job only because I knew I did not want to put my 3-month-old in daycare. So I did not quit my job because of promoting. And I don't recommend people just quitting their job because they're deciding to promote. You should have like 5 times your normal income before you quit your job. But that's where I was at. And we sat down as a family and we did a vision board as a family. It was, what are our goals? I think that's one of the biggest reasons a decent human being will have a hard time supporting a spouse is if they feel like, what happens if you get really successful? Are you going to leave me? Are you doing this just for you? Like, what do we, and I know Jamie did the same thing with her kids. They had Disneyland or Disney World, Disneyland on their vision board. And so when the girls were frustrated because she wasn't available, it was like, remember, I'm working for us. I'm not doing this for just me. I'm doing this for us as a family. And I think that's huge. There's a lot of components to it. It's just, and like you say, some people hit the ground running, and it was 10 years in the making when I started with this. It was literally all this time that had been spent in all these other ways and relationships. And I had built up, my business was all around my own name. And so I had built up a lot of contacts. I'd already been networking a ton. I'd already been, building into people so that when this came, I had a lot of people that did know, like, and trust me. And that's
You
where,
know what's so funny too is you mentioned going to like a presentation with a flip chart. It cracks me up, because if people understood what it was like, 10, 12 years ago in network marketing, you guys, that's what it was like. That's when it was hard. Like, I laugh now when people go, "This is so hard." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You can sit from behind your phone." Then you had to like, I mean, you weren't going door to door, but let me tell you what, it was close to it. Like, it was a totally different ball game. Like, you had to show someone your presentation. I remember my upline telling me, "Hey, message 20 of your friends and say, are they available so you can show them the plan," or whatever. And I'm like, I look back now and think about how salesy it was, and how I could post on Facebook the most salesy stuff and it worked. And now that doesn't work anymore. But it was crazy what worked then and what doesn't work now, and how much it's evolved and how much easier it's gotten. Like, people don't get how hard it was, because it was a lot more difficult. I kind of want to know your timeline too. So you said, did you get your VIP bonuses, or you literally didn't do anything for like 6 weeks?
I hit VIP 800, but I say barely because it was my mom and my husband and my sister and one of my best friends. And none of them were actively promoting. So none of them came on as promoters and started growing. So that I hit my VIP 800, but barely. I did not hit VIP 1600. I did not hit the 4K and the free iPad. So pretty slow. I think
How long did it take before you went 4K? Like, let's talk about that. Like, when did you go 4K, 12K, 40, 80, 200? Like, the timelines in between.
Right. Okay. So I started taking the products over the 4th of July weekend, and the whole month of July, I had about $2,000 in sales. And I swear half of that was my own orders that I was ordering product, and I was doing a lot of sampling. I sampled to anybody with a pulse. I was sending product out left and right, and I was not getting the orders for multiple reasons. I was not connecting people on 3-way calls. I was not, I wasn't pre-qualifying people. I was literally like anybody. I was just handing it out like candy. So I don't recommend that. I'm a big proponent of pre-qualifying people before they get a sample now. But it was, so the whole month of July, really basically nothing happened. I made a couple sales, but not a whole lot. Then it was about a week into August. And I don't know if you remember Chris Collins, but he shared his story on a call about how he had an unsupportive spouse and he chose to build a business instead of listening to this unsupportive spouse. And it just hit me like a brick. Like it came, all this stuff kind of had, I'd kind of almost forgotten about a lot of it. And it just came flooding back. And he shared on this call that he'd hit, I can't remember if it was $1 million in sales as a team or if it was $1 million in commissions. I feel like it was $1 million in commissions, but I remember thinking like, this is my chance. Like I have a chance to do what I was so passionate about doing before. So that was about a week into August. I want to say it was August 6th. So all of July, basically nothing. August 6th, what changed was I started doing three-way calls. I decided I had no problem setting up free accounts. I had no problem inviting people to like the fan page. I had no problem sending them samples. But I was really afraid to actually get on the phone and talk to people. I was afraid that I wouldn't have the answers. My background was I needed to know the answers. As a mortgage loan officer, I couldn't say, I don't know how this loan works, but I'll find out. I wouldn't have any business. I had to know my stuff. And so I struggled with that transition over to let me get you connected to somebody else. And so I started doing three-way calls and I hit 4K. I think it was August 18th. So about 12 days later, I hit 4K. I hit 12K at the end of August. The next month we had $33,000 in online orders. The next month we had 114,000. So we hit 40K and 80K in October. November we closed at 174,000. We hit 200K in December. Closed at like 230,000, something like that. So it was about 5 months from August to December. It was 5 months from when I started doing three-way calls and I hit 200K.
You know what I love? So many things about what you just shared. But the first thing I love is that you said you heard somebody's story. Okay, this is why it's so stinking important to plug into Zooms, to plug into calls, to plug your new people into corporate things, because it's usually someone else sharing something that somebody resonates with that makes them go, aha, I got this. Like I can do this too. And that's what it did it for you. You sat for 6 weeks and it was getting on a call that made you literally go from $2,000 in volume within 5 months to over $200,000 in volume. And it's because you saw the vision, right? The only thing that changed between that 6 weeks was your mindset. It was the decision, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And then I love that you talked about three-way calls. And, a lot of people have switched over to three-way messages, and there's so many different ways to do it now. But the whole point of that is third-party credibility is so huge. Yeah. And you know what? I never thought about it the way you just said it. You came from a background where if you didn't know the answers, people were going to think that you weren't qualified. And I think that is what is the problem for a lot of people that refuse to bring in that third party. I think they're scared it's going to make them look like they're unqualified, or they're going to look silly, or it's uncomfortable, or all of the things. And it's so funny because every week I've been doing this call now for 2 years, and every 200K that gets on here talks about third party credibility, yet I don't know how many people on my team still refuse to get somebody in a three-way message or to get them on a three-way call, because it does work. If for some reason they just need to hear it from one more person, like it can change your whole business. I've watched people actually go from being so stuck that as soon as they started doing three-way calls, sorry, my dog decides to bark. Go. Sorry. Unbelievable. Yeah. He decides to bark right when I get on a call, right? It's just kind of like your kids. My dog, it's a new puppy, so he's like not trained at all yet. But I'm just so like loving everything you've shared so far, because if you guys are paying attention and taking some notes, all of these little golden nuggets are so stinking huge. So you have been in for a long time. Like I know you were in because Jamie was sharing her story, and I know you were in when it was just like patches there weren't even patches yet, were there?
So I think the DFTs had come out like the month I started, or the month
you started. Okay.
Yeah. So it was, I think, an 18-month-old company. or so when I had started. That was 2014. So six years, pretty crazy.
6 years, 6 years. It's like in 6 years. And, here's another thing I like to talk about in this too, because everybody hits walls in this business. Maybe your wall you hit right when you came in for 6 weeks. And then after you go 200K, you're going to hit more walls. Like, I think sometimes people think, oh, you hit 200K and it's just smooth sailing. It's just easy after that. People are knocking at your front door asking you to sign up as a promoter. Like, it is simple. You don't have to do nothing. And we hit the same plateaus. Like, we still lose legs. I've lost people in my business that I thought would never leave. I've watched a whole leg go and freak the heck out. Like, my business is over. I've seen people not get along, and cancers in my team before. I've seen, I've been through, breakups and deaths and all of the things that can happen in a business. I've missed every bonus there ever was, ever, in 10 years in network marketing, except my VIP 100 and 1600. Like, I've missed all of them. And so many people are bonus focused. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to come in and I'm going to go for this bonus. Like, how we'll have like, go 80K, get $80,000 or whatever. And then they don't get it. And all of a sudden they just stop working. It's like, why are you doing that? Like, a bonus is a bonus. It's on top of. You're running for residual income here. Like, I'm not sitting here 10 years later crying going, I should have quit a long time ago since I didn't hit bonuses. Like, I never say that. So what are some things, if you want to get vulnerable, because I think that's usually the part of this call where people are the most like, oh my gosh, I'm going through that right now. And if Kindra went through it and she got over it, I can too. What are some things that have happened in the last 6 years that have set you back, or even possibly made you have thoughts of quitting? Because I know we've all had them.
Listening to all the things that you're talking about, I was thinking, yep, I've had that. Yep, I've had that. Yep, I've had that. That's happened. Yep, I've been there. All of those things. And I'm like, okay, where do I even start? I've had people die. I've had people leave. Like, I had a leg that there's one person that I always almost get misty eyed thinking about because I thought she'd never leave. And she didn't go to another company. She's not doing something else. She just stopped doing this and is just a mom. And that's great, but I miss it with her. I miss that. There's just a lot about it that changes and evolves. How, like when you were talking earlier about what worked when we started. Yeah, we could put up a post that just said, looking for 3 motivated people, message me, and you'd have 10 people message you. Like, it was so much different with social media at the time. So there's a lot of things. I have never lost my rank, which I think is pretty cool. I had a massive, massive team, like massive team. I've never hit any of those bonuses, any of the, none, not a single one of the 40K, 80, the rank advancement bonuses or anything like that. I've never hit any of them. I remember when they first came out, like, I sure wish that would have been around when I was running, but I don't know if I can say this. Do you want me to share? I'm about to hit, I don't know if I could share this, but because I don't want to do anything, but this, I think you guys can see that, right? You guys know what this is, right?
Yes, Millionaire Award.
Yes, I'm about to hit the second one of those. So in commissions, not complaining about not hitting an $80,000 bonus when your life has been changed so much by residual income. And that's huge. That's what I fell in love with when I was introduced to it 5 years ago. But as far as the things that have been the hardest, absolute hardest, is adapting to the way things have changed, because I have been that person that has had spells that were so awesome where people were coming in and growing, and then I've had spells where it's like, okay, nothing's happening. Like, nothing has happened in my team for so long. Nobody's growing. Nobody is excited about this. Nobody, it feels that way, right? And it's not like I want to quit or I want to find something else. I'm never ever ever thought I want to leave Live Out, because this company for me has changed our lives, and the products and everything. And I've always related to, just to give you guys a little bit more backstory for me, when I was going through that divorce and I was not doing anything with my company because I was scared to, in that time period, my old uplines that were Black Diamond something or other, they, found something that's so much better. Oh my gosh, this is so much better. You have to look at this. This is amazing. It's just going to be amazing. And they did this other thing, and then they called me again. Oh my gosh, we found something that's so much better. This is amazing. It's the best thing ever. It's going to be so awesome. And they did that like 5 times in like a year. Like it started in that year period and then it went on kind of past that after that team and my team was gone. But it made me realize that the grass isn't always greener. And I've always compared to other things to marriage. You get to a certain point in your marriage and it becomes work. And you can either figure out what's going to work now or you can start over. And then you're going to get to that same period again in probably 5 years, 7 years. It's the 7-year itch, right? There's things that get hard and harder. And it's all about deciding, you know what, it's not, if it's to be, it's up to me. And it's not over until I win. And that's kind of my mentality is like, okay, this whole social media has changed a lot. And I'll be honest, I got really frustrated with how, like, I used to have a lot of engagement. I used to have a lot of, you know, activity on my posts. And then things started just, it was like crickets. I'd start posting about Thrive and Lavelle and it was like crickets. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to post anything because I don't know what to post, or I post once every other week because I felt such a lack of confidence in what I should be doing with my social media. And then I just had a moment where I guess the decision, it's always a decision, you guys. It's always a decision. It's never circumstantial. It's always your mindset. It's always about you making that decision that, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. And I dove in. I've learned some things. I've implemented some things. That's the thing that I will say that I did in this business in a time period of not having growth was being stuck in learning mode, stuck in, I need to learn more. I need to learn more. I need to learn more. And I've really decided, you know what, for every hour that I spend learning, I will spend an hour in action. I will spend an hour in activity. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It's not going to be, it's going to suck probably, but I cannot spend 5 hours in learning mode and 15 minutes in action mode and expect my business to grow or expect things to happen. And success loves speed. It's always the truth. You can go slow and steady, absolutely, but success, big time success, loves speed. The faster that you make mistakes, the faster that you mess things up, the faster that you learn the hard way, the faster you grow. And that's always going to be the truth.
Yeah, it is so true. And I think a lot of people overthink it. They get in what I call it the busy work trap, where you think you're working because you're busy, but you're not doing anything income producing. Like, you know, that person that's on every single Zoom you do, and they like are the thriver of the year. They wear like 10 patches at once, but yet they're not adding any new people to their social media. They're not telling anybody about Thrive. They're kind of like stuck in this place of, I love Thrive, but they're not taking that next step to step out of their comfort zone to actually grow the business. And it's a super easy place to get caught in, even for us 200Ks. Like I will get in these modes where I'm just helping everyone else. And I'm like, wait a second, Lisa, when's the last, your PPA is 0 right now? When is the last time that just happened to me 2 months ago? My PPA went to 0. And I was like, okay, you have not been doing the do. Like you've been doing stuff for everyone else. I felt busy, but my personal business was not busy. And it was just a mindset shift. It was like, okay, get back to doing what works. And that brings me back to my next question, which is, what do you do? Because I mean, let's face it, I am pretty sure you're mostly out of your warm market. Like if they were going to join you, they did it, right? And it's not even, that's the crazy thing too, is I think a lot of people come in and they have like 400 friends on Facebook and they're like going 200K with just these people. And the thing is it's never your friends or your family that get you to 200K. Like I don't know any leg. I know one leg that has a sister in it that really actually works the business. But other than that, most people don't get to 200K. I mean, the same people that get you to 12K don't even get you to 40. Like it's always different people coming in. And at some point, if you're not continuing to add new people somehow, whether it's out and about socially or through social media, eventually you're going to run out of people that are in your warm market that are going to be interested in this and join you. And now you've been in, I mean, over 6 years, dude, how are you still finding new people? Because I think that's the way that, I think that's the question everybody wants to know is, how do you still find new people?
Right, absolutely. So it's funny that you say that though, because just yesterday I had a new promoter, a customer upgrade to promoter that I have known. He was in that last company with me 10 years ago, or yeah, 10 years ago. I guess it's been 10 years now. Crazy. Um, And so every once in a while, some of those people will finally come around. I'd messaged him for, I don't even know, several years. And he finally just trusted me 2 weeks. He's 2 weeks in on the product. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is really actually legit. I'm like, I told you. But for the most part, if I relied strictly on trying to hope that some of my old friends and family would finally join me, yeah, no, it's not going to continue to grow. And I made a decision that I'm not in this business just to get only so far and then just stay there and plateau or just ride it out. I'm not interested in that. This is something that I'm passionate about long term. And most people are not able, no one hits, like you say, no one hits any of these ranks from the people that they know. All of my team, like Jamie is 6 levels from me, or 7, originally 7 levels from me. So everyone that makes a big wave in your business is probably 2 or 3 people away from you in your circles. But growing that's adding new people. And I don't add anybody. So adding new people on Facebook is key, but don't just add people. You can't just add them and hope they decide to look at your stuff. Message people, love, heart their profile picture. Find a reason to connect with them, message them and say, oh my gosh, I saw your post here and I loved it. Totally agree with that. For me, I'm a horse freak. I'm obsessed with horses. So I connect with people on a daily basis over horses. Just today I messaged a girl. She accepted my friend request, because sometimes you can't message people, or it's really important to message people before, like when you send a friend request, but this person I actually messaged after. But I messaged her and I said, oh my gosh, your horse's eyes are incredible. She has a picture of her and her horse, and her horse's eyes are just like the most beautiful hazel color I've never really seen before. Anyways, but I find a reason to connect with people. So great to connect with you. It's so great to be finally chatting with you. There's a girl that I just added that is into bulls. She's a stock contractor for bulls. And it's just a matter of so when you look at building this business, if you look at building this business as your warm market, when you make your list, when you first start, you make your huge list of people, those are the people that you get to practice on and learn skills with. And then after that, you're going out into the world. And I always compare, like when I talk to my team about this, I always compare what I did to build my business in real estate and as a mortgage loan officer. I did not call my friends and family every week saying, are you ready to get a house? Are you ready to get a loan? Do you need a loan? Like, where are you at? Can I refinance you? Like, that's not how that works, right? No one does that way in those other industries. And it's the same for all. Dentist's office, chiropractor's office. None of those businesses are thinking, I need my friends and family to buy my services to be successful, right? It's not even in their mindset. It's 100% advertising, getting eyeballs on your business, right? So for me, it was marketing, getting title lists from the title company and finding a list of names and reaching out to those people, sending out a postcard, asking, do you need anything? Going to meetings and meeting new people, networking, right? Finding people that need what you have to offer. So when you translate it over to this, you have the internet, and like you said, Lisa, it's so much easier now when we don't even have to, like, it's not even weird now to do it on the internet, because that's almost the only option we all have now. So it's super awesome. But finding people, strangers, turning them into friends, and then turning them into family. And it's a process. This isn't, you can't go and message 20 people today that you've never even met before and expect to have influence enough that they all join you and decide to promote or order the product. It's a process. But if you're consistent and you're committed to building those relationships with people, and this is not building rapport forever and ever and ever, but building connections and making friends out of strangers on the internet that then you can then ask, hey, are you open to checking out a product that's completely changed my life? Are you open to checking out a side hustle that I have, that I use social media? Are you open to looking at something? And then going from there and seeing you're not going to have 100. No one bats at that 1,000. No one gets 100% yeses. We all get no's. That's just the way it is. And as long as you're okay with that, and it's when you, like yesterday, when you get the person that's like, oh my gosh, this has totally changed my life. I cannot believe how much better I'm feeling. I'm not drinking energy drinks. I'm having energy into the evening. I just feel so much better. Then it's like, you know what? The last 4 people that told me no this week, it's not a big deal, because that person, it's changed their life. So,
You know what you said? Oh my gosh, I love it. I wrote it down. Your warm market is practice. I freaking love that. It's so true. Your warm market is for you to learn, grow, make all the mistakes on, and then go out into the world and find all the
Mhm.
strangers that you're about to make friends with and then bring into your business as customers and promoters. That is the truth. That's like, I love that. Like, I've never heard anybody say it that way. And it's so true. And I'm so using it and stealing it. It's so good. Because it is the truth. And you know what I love about everything you're saying, even down to your vision board, how you sat with your family. And I'm doing a contest group right now, and everything that you've been saying today is what I'm teaching. And it's just validation. Like, look, guys, we get on this call every week. There's a different 200K, but we're all saying the same things. If you really look at it, we may say it a little bit differently. We may put our own twist on it, but at the end of the day, we're saying the same things, and success leaves clues. I mean,
Mhm.
it does. You want to be where someone is at. You don't go ask your friend that's lazy sitting on the couch eating chicken wings, how do I get to $1 million? You ask the person that's made the $1 million, how do I get to $1 million? And then you do it. It's, we're listening to like these outside forces telling us that's stupid, you're never going to get there, blah blah blah. Well, where are those people? Like, all these people that are putting you down or not supporting you, where are they? Because if you don't want their life, then why are you listening to them? I will never understand that. Like, I want someone else's life who's, living time freedom and can afford to help people and can travel. That, I want that kind of life. I don't want the life of somebody sitting around on their couch watching Netflix every day. It just depends. What life do you want? And those are the people that you need to grab onto and take the nuggets that they share and listen to them. Okay, so I want to know, like, I think this is always a great question to ask because we all kind of do things a little bit differently, but it could be doing, I don't know, you might do something that we're not doing or someone else isn't doing that could be just the tweaky thing that they need to do to help people. But when you get somebody in your inbox and they're like, I'm ready to do this thing as a promoter, not a customer, we'll get into customers in a minute, but as a promoter, and they're like, I'm ready, I want to sign up. What do you do at that point? As far as, like, do you just, okay, I'm signing you right now, here we go, and then you just kind of see who hits their VIP bonuses? What are you doing with those people, and then in the time frame from them signing up, what are you kind of doing in those first 2 weeks just to help them VIP if you can?
I don't know if this is different from everybody else. Obviously, there's the things that we all talk about: 100 free accounts in your first 30 days, the system, this is what you do. But for me, where I feel like a lot of magic has happened is connecting people to multiple people in my upline, giving them access. And in the first 48 hours, like, I want them, every time they ask a question, I'll call you in an hour. And then I get them on the phone. They're on the phone with somebody else in my upline that they get to connect with, because I never know whose story, like you said earlier, is going to be the one that really sparks something in them. And I don't take it personally if someone I bring in decides, you know what, I really like this person that's 3 levels up from you, and I'm going to run with that person. Have at it. That's great. I don't care. I don't believe most people that know you, if they do know you and they come into this business, they have all this preconceived opinion stuff about you, whereas they don't have that with that person that's 3 levels up from you or 2 levels up or whatever. So that's the biggest thing that I try to encourage everyone to do is connect, 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 because you do not know who someone is going to connect with most and whose story they're going to have resonate with them the most. Um, and I just have seen that over and over and over, where people typically partner up and really run with a person that all they know is that person's success story with Lavelle. They don't have any of the baggage of their life before, and we all have baggage. None of us don't. We all have that stuff, and the people around us know our stuff, and they think, I know you. You're nothing special, right? So I think that's the biggest thing that I don't know if that gets covered enough. Like, you
No,
can't.
you know what? You are probably in the last 2 months the fourth leader I've interviewed that has talked about that, has said when they sign somebody up, they get them in with several people right away. And to me, that makes sense because people need to feel connected. They need to feel like they're a part of something. They need to feel like they have several options of people to connect with and go to. Because if it's just you, they kind of feel alone at first. Like, they're jumping in, they're thrown into a team page with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, and they're kind of probably like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. And I'm watching all these other people VIP and I didn't get my bonuses, so I'm just gonna quit. And I just think that it's such a sad story when that happens, because to me, if you're having people quit just because they don't VIP, it's because you're not doing the right things as far as reassuring them that lots of people don't hit VIP bonuses, that your story isn't over just because you didn't hit VIP bonuses. And I think we get so focused on those sometimes. And let's be real, Kendra, if you and I really were real with our numbers, I would say 1 out of every 10 people that come in get their VIP bonuses. That's just reality. But yet I can give you, I don't know how many people on my team that are now 12K, 40K, 80K, 200K that did not get those bonuses that are sitting pretty right now. So it's not about that, because let's be honest, it sounds simple: 2 customers, 2 promoters, do it again. But that is not simple for someone that's coming in with no support and no market, that's never done this before. That is hard. They don't make it easy to
Right.
get 660 on $800 in sales.
No, and I think that something that Paul had said a long time ago, and I've always remembered it, is that you've got to believe in your people more than they believe in themselves, because they're like this little infant that doesn't. Every single day they have outside influences telling them they can't do this. They're not going to be successful. They're going to fail. It's not going to work. Like, they're getting bombarded with those thoughts or people's opinions or whatever. And so you've got to be in their corner more than they are. And the other thing that I think might hopefully be helpful is I find reasons to touch base with them every single day of that VIP period. And it's not, how are you doing today? What can I help you with? Because that's not helpful. It's, hey, listen to this quick call. It's amazing. Hey, dial into this Zoom that's happening at 9. It's always offering something that's a resource that mostly is stories, because that is really where the magic happens, is stories. But finding a reason to connect with that brand new promoter every single day with something that you're giving them that might start more of the conversation that day, because you're right, not all of them do. And I think that the more that we can help them believe that it's possible, the better the chances are that they see it for themselves.
I love that, because I think we all get in that habit of messaging our person, is there anything you need? They don't know what they need. They don't know what they're doing. So you
I don't.
kind of have to guide them, like, hey, girlfriend, I got something that you could do, or here's a great post, or, checking out your Facebook page. It's up to you to kind of be helpful. And I'm sorry, guys, but there's none of us too busy, if we want to succeed in this business, to be holding our person's hand for that first 14 days. I mean, come on, how many promoters are you really signing at once that want to do this? I mean, I know I'm not signing handfuls at a time. I, if I'm signing 1 or 2 in a month that really want this, I'm like gonna be holding their hand. I'm gonna make the time to do that. Because if you don't make the time to do that, you're not going to go 12K. You're not going to go 40K, 80K, 200K. It's never going to happen. One of the things
Hey,
I talked about last week with Jamie was customer retention and how important that is. Just, it blows my mind. I will never understand how hard a person will work to sign up a customer. They build the relationship. They're talking to them every day. They finally get them to sign up, and then they never talk to them again. I'm like, how does this make any sense? Like, what are you doing? What is your kind of routine with, like, just in general, keeping up with your team, and making sure that you're giving good customer service? Because I know it's easy to get so caught up with your team and trying to get them doing their thing that you can easily forget about your own business. But if you can't take care of your business first, like, there's nothing after that. You've got to take care of your own business.
yeah. It's funny because Jamie and I are so different that way. She's amazing. She's super organized. I'm the least organized person on this Zoom. I could bet a lot of money. But the thing about customers versus promoters that I've always told Jamie, I have very few customers. I have very, very few. I have a handful, and it's very easy to take care of my 5 or 6 because um, they've been customers for a super long time. It's very easy I give them credits occasionally. I will be in contact with them on their social media. Like, I just give them love. But for me, I've always felt like, why in the world would you want to be a customer? So almost everyone ends up switching over to promoter. I'm not big on customer. Like, why would you stay a customer? I don't understand it. And I've had a
I'm
few that
the same way. I'm with you. Like, I have about 5 or 6 customers that have been customers, but I end up like,
I get them all.
and sometimes I think it's to my detriment. Like, I'm talking people into being promoters that probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So it can be kind of a double-edged sword, but I have the same thought process. Like, Dude, it's the same thing. Being a customer and a promoter is the exact same thing, except the one thing you can get paid.
Yeah.
Why not?
There's no reason why you should be. I mean, and yeah, you're right. There are some people that maybe should have just stayed a customer for my benefit, but I've always felt like whenever I have a new promoter that asks me, what do I get paid more on, customer or promoter? I'm not even going to answer that question because your thought process is 100% on yourself and not what is best for that person. And that's where, I've heard all kinds of things about how you make this more here and there. I don't care. I think that the opportunity is such a no-brainer that it's free. It's totally free. Like there is no reason why you shouldn't be a promoter. And really just, I don't know, that's just always been my train of thought. But there was something else that I was thinking I wanted to share and I totally lost it. Along those lines, hopefully it comes back to me because I
I
really just
hate when that happens.
I
I'm
know.
like, man, I guess I think I need to take my expand because my brain is not working right. So
The
if it pops in your head, say it.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. So I would love if Lavelle on, I asked this question a couple years ago on stage in Dallas or I think it was when we were down in New Orleans. I would really love to see a panel of all the 200K or like the opportunity. When you clicked the button, you said yes. Did you see yourself as a 200K? I would bet a lot of money. It's a very, 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 very small fraction that said, oh yeah, I totally saw myself going to the top. Most of us, when we clicked the button, so I hope that more than anything, people understand that it's a decision. It's not something that you are born with and it comes naturally. It's a choice and it's a decision and it's activity consistently. But I just think that anybody can do this. I really believe that anybody can do this if they see it for themselves. And that's, I think, why I'm always like, you just need to be a promoter.
Right.
I just don't think that most of us started out seeing this as,
Heck no, I wanted an extra $500. I thought the people making money were like, there's no way. Like, come on, that's so unrealistic. And I think most people think there's no way they would ever be a 200K. Their mindset is probably 4K or 12K. And it's kind of like working people where they're at, not where we're at and where we want them to be, but where they're at. And it's funny how somebody that tells me they don't really have the time, they just want to do this a little bit, the second they start making some money, they're kind of like, okay, I have a little bit more time. I think I want to put more time into this. Well, another question I wanted to ask you, because I think this is the biggest thing as leaders, like the farther you climb up the ladder, even starting at 4K, then 12K, once you're 200K, it is craziness. But I think we spend a lot of our time on negativity, like negative people in our downline saying, whatever, arguments, people fighting with each other, not getting along, you name it. I spend a lot of my time as a 200K putting out fires. And it's so crazy to me because I think about how blessed we are being in a business like this. And in my opinion, I always tell people, look, not everybody's going to be your cup of tea. There are going to be people on your team that you would never hang out with outside of this business. They're just not who maybe you don't have the same morals, values, whatever. But here's the thing is most people are good people and they deserve to be 200K if they work for it. It doesn't matter whether your cup of tea, they're yours, does not matter. You've got to find a way to separate. If you have a normal job, you go in every day. If you don't like your boss, you still put a smile on your face. You still work. You work next to the person that you have to work with. You keep a smile on your face. Like, I don't know what happens when people get into network marketing. And I know it's mostly women, so we've got that deal. But people lose their minds thinking that it's okay to disrespect people or to, we've all had it. I've watched a leg under me literally separate themselves and their whole team. I've seen people do that over the last 10 years a few times, and it's always driven them into the ground. I had Billy Holder be on once, and he said that's probably the worst thing you can do. Because I was like, if you could pick one thing that's like the worst thing you could do in this business, he said that's the worst thing, is to isolate and separate your team from other people. It doesn't matter if you don't like Kindra or Lisa. They might have something to offer that you don't, or their people might connect with you and click with them better than you, and that's okay. As long as they succeed and they're making you money, what do you care? So how do you deal with all that kind of stuff, because it's a reality. And I don't like to just talk about bad stuff on this call, but at the end of the day, that is a reality. You are going to run into these issues. Thinking back, what kind of these things, like out of the things I talked about, what are some of the things you run into and seen?
Yeah, I've seen that over and over and over where people get so caught up in ego. It's ego taking over and thinking that it's a competition. And at the end of the day, whether you're the person that thinks that you need to protect your team or you're the person that's in an upline and has team that's doing that, it's doing is slowing down momentum. It's stopping people from focusing on what's going on. If you're the person that is struggling with having, let's say, an upline or a downline that doesn't like you, you have to look. So 5 years from now, 5 years from now, what is your financial situation going to be? Is it going to be in a positive place? Is it going to be in a better place? If you're spending your time today focusing on people in your upline, people in your downline, and where they're at versus just doing the best you can and building this business, like your kids getting food on the table is dependent on you focusing on what matters. And that's building your business. And no one else is going to pay your bills for you. Nobody else is going to make sure you're okay. In my opinion, obviously I don't want to get into politic type stuff, but at the end of the day, if it's to be, it's up to me. And relying or getting upset on other people's actions, like you can't control anyone. You can't control people in your upline. You can't control people in your downline. All you can control is yourself and how you react to stuff. And if you have people in your downline that are creating that turmoil, that's such a sensitive subject to me because it's going on in my team right now. I've got a lot of people that are really having a lot of success and are really, really growing quickly, which is super exciting. With that comes people that get jealous or get envious or get frustrated because they're not having the same success. And that's where, if you're the person that's frustrated and not having the same success, you've got to figure out why. That's what I've always loved about this industry, is that you will not grow to the next level until you grow into the person that you need to become to grow to that next level. So stay in your own lane and figure out, okay, if it's a jealousy thing, why is that person growing and I'm not? Is it because I'm so focused on that? It's like the swimmer picture where Michael Phelps is like totally in the zone and the guy next to him is watching him losing. Like that's what you're doing. When you're watching all these other people, you're losing. You are not going to win if you're focusing on other people. Now, if it's your downline, I am the person that thinks, you know what? Someone has got to step in and be a truth speaker and say, look, you need to knock it off if you're not being a respectable leader. The sad thing is you're nobody's boss. We're nobody's boss. We're all in business for ourselves. We're in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. That's the bottom line. You get to do it however you want. But I've seen teams completely disintegrate because people were so focused on other people and not where is your life going to be 5 years from now? Is focusing on this going to get you where you want to go? Is it going to matter? Is it going to matter a year from now, 2 years from now, when your finances are in a crappy space because you were so focused on what all these other people are doing instead of focusing on what am I doing today to move the needle? What am I doing today to make a difference, to make an impact, to help somebody? Focus on someone you can help instead of focusing on someone that you can't help. I don't know.
Everything you just said times 1,000. Like seriously, it's everything you just said, because it's so crazy to me how people would rather their ego is worth more than $1 million. Is being right worth more than $1 million? I will be the first person to apologize to somebody, even if I'm wrong, just to make them feel better and keep going with your business. Like, you have got to get over a lot of things that you come in with, this baggage, right, from your old life. And then you get into network marketing and you start doing all this self-development, and you can change. You can become the person you've always wanted to be. And do you want to be that person? And we all get glimpses of that. I've done a lot of self-development over the last 10 years, and I caught myself on the phone the other day getting nasty with someone because my water didn't come. My water jugs didn't come, and they had billed me and it went to the wrong bill, and it's the third time it's happened. And I was getting nasty with the lady, and I had to step back for a second and go, wait a second, this lady's just doing her job. And this is not you, Lisa. This is not that important. You know what? Go buy some water. Like, it's just so funny how you can change to be a person that wasn't me before. I was hot off the handle, and I always had to be right, and all of these things. And those things don't make you a good leader. Those things don't make people want to follow you, and those things are not going to make you $1 million. So you kind of have to get over yourself big time. My last question for you, Kendra, is this: if there were two things that, I don't care whether somebody's brand new or they've been a 200K for 6 years, two things they need to do every single day, it does not matter whether what's going on in their life, they must do these two things every day for their business in order for it to grow. What are the two things that you would pick?
Show up for your team, but show up for yourself. Like, show up for your team in some way, and show up for yourself behind the scenes in some way. And that's going to look different on different days. It might be personal self-care. It might be sending out 5 more messages, sending out 5 more friend requests, sending out 5 more follow-ups, doing a live when they make you nervous. They make me nervous. I hate doing lives, but it's showing up for your team in some way and showing up for yourself in some way. The other thing that I want to say is, if you are in the position to speak truth into somebody in your team, you have that opportunity. Speak the truth, ask for permission, ask, what do you want me to do from this? May I speak truth? May I give you my real hard advice? And then if you water down the truth, you water down the transformation. You have the opportunity in this business to speak truth into people with their permission and with love. But if you are not speaking truth when you have those opportunities, you're doing more harm than good. And so there may be times where you have to have super hard conversations. This is kind of related to what you asked before, but if you water down the truth, you water down the transformation that's possible. So,
Oh my gosh, I tell my leaders this all the time. Sometimes you have to have the hard talks. If you water down the truth, you water down the transformation. Oh my gosh, is that yours?
no, I
Like,
don't know where I heard it. I really can't remember where I heard it. I think I actually heard it in Peter Sage's book, The Inside Track.
oh my God, that is so good. Well, I'm saying it's you. Okay. I'm quoting you on
I don't
Facebook when I put that out there. It's so good. If you water down the truth, you water down the transformation. And here's the thing: sometimes you have to be that person that cares enough to be able to go to someone. And I read a book too, Kendra, that says, ask for permission. Do you want me to blow sunshine up your ass, or do you want me to be real? Like, do you want me to, because I care about you? Or, yeah. And here's the thing, you guys: if a leader's coming to you, obviously it would be easy for that leader just to not say anything and keep the peace. They obviously care about you if they're willing to risk their paycheck to piss you off. You know what I'm saying? To come to you and tell you about yourself. It's not an easy thing to do, but it is so necessary if you truly care about people. Being a leader, no one ever said that was going to be easy, ever. And sometimes you have to do the hard things. And did you want to add anything to that? Sorry,
Yeah,
I cut you off. I was cutting you off, kind of. Sorry.
totally interrupted, but I was like, you can ask, like, do you want the really hard truth, like the real raw hard truth, or do you want something that will kind of work? It just probably won't work as fast or as well. And usually
Yep.
people, I want the truth, and then you have the opportunity then to speak truth. You can't.
Yep.
What is the saying? Unsolicited advice is rarely welcome. That's everything. You have to have permission before you can speak truth into anybody.
Yeah, somebody has to be willing to receive it. If they're not in that headspace, then it's not going to be good, and it's how you approach the situation. That's why self-development is so important, you guys. Pick up a dang book. Do you know how many leadership books? And here's the thing, is I have read probably 500 leadership books over the last 10 years, and they all say the same things, just in different ways. Just pick one up, because it can help you in so many areas that you have no idea. And once you start building a team, the most important part about keeping that team together is becoming the leader that you want to be, becoming the leader that they need. It's so important. Kendra, you're amazing. And I just cannot thank you enough for taking the last hour and just pouring into everybody, even people that aren't on your own team. I mean, it's just awesome. Not all people are like that, and not all companies are like this. And you just don't know what you're going to learn. And man, I learned so many good nuggets today. I hope you guys had pen and paper. This is recorded, of course, you guys. I will get the recording out. And we just got paid 5 minutes ago. So don't forget, guys, make your payday post on Facebook. Like, that's my best day of the week, is Tuesdays, when I can post something that a paycheck did for one of my team members, or something that paycheck did for our family. Like, people go, wow, she put groceries in her fridge for a week. I wish I could do that. Like, it doesn't have to be a car, guys. It doesn't have to be, I bought a boat. Like, most people think that's outrageous and ridiculous anyways. Like, if they want real raw, I put gas in my car. Like, those are the posts that like reach people, and real people that need help right now, especially with COVID and everything going on. Kendra, thank you. You're so awesome. I
Thank
appreciate
you
you.
so much for having me on. I'm super honored that you asked me and I got to share with you guys. So hope you guys have an awesome day.
Thank you so much. And everyone that got on today, thank you guys for all getting on, taking an hour out of your lives to pour into yourselves, get some self-development. I always say this is a call with tips, obviously, but it is a self-development call for me every week, and I hope it is for you too. If you're new, save this link, same time, every week, every Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern, same link. You can save it in your phone. Make sure you're getting all your new people on, because this call is amazing. If you loved it this week, you'll love it every week. And we do record these, so we'll get that recording out. Thank you guys so much. Happy payday. Thanks, Kendra. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Bye.